As we wrap up the first month of the year, we're going to endeavor to stick to our goals that we've set for ourselves. And if you're retired, now is not the time to give up. Let's welcome Brett Groller, founder of Brett Groller Coaching. And I wanted to ask you, Coach Brett, how did you get started in life coaching? What was the inspiration, the impetus?
So I left corporate after 25 years, and my goal was to get out by the time I was 50, which I did.
And you did?
And I did.
You met the goal.
Yeah, I met my goal. And I had been in media sales for 25 years, and now after going through my coach certification, I realized that I was doing a lot of coaching in the corporate space.
Interesting.
And just fell in love with it. So I've switched gears to where I was selling advertising, doing a lot of that, and now I'm actually focused on helping people.
So ever since you were a child, would you say that you've always been a self-starter?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I think for some people it's just in your DNA. And for the rest of us, it's not.
That's when I was in sales, and actually trying to train people. When we would bring new people on and actually go through the process, that you just had they felt it. You could sense that they knew.
Why do you think though most of us miss that piece of motivation?
I think there's some guidance there that's why it's important, from a coaching perspective, is you need somebody that can hold you accountable and not just say, I want to run a marathon or I want to lose weight. Yeah. Okay. What are you going to do, and who are you going to tell, and who's going to hold you accountable for?
Yeah, that's what you said last week, is that you got to tell somebody, because if it's all swimming up in here, it does you absolutely no good. You got to put it out into the universe and create expectations. And that doesn't change when we're out of the workforce. So for people who are retired, it's not all hitting the links or the pickleball court or whatever the case may be. It's actually setting goals to accomplish things.
Correct. There's two things that people face when they're in retirement. One is they don't realize how much time they're going to have, and secondly is how do they replace their work identity. I run into a lot of people who are retiring at 52, 53 years old. They're getting out of education. They've been a teacher for 30 plus years, and then they're not a teacher anymore, right? I challenge people and say, if you go to a networking event, could you go and introduce yourself and tell people who you are without saying what you do for a living?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It's very challenging.
How would Coach Brett answer that question?
I would answer it and start talking about my family. I'm excited that I actually have a beautiful bride. I have a son who just graduated from the University of South Carolina, has a full-time job.
Congratulations, by
thank
the way.
you. It's really hard for me to not jump right into coaching because that's what I love to do.
That's how we identify ourselves, is so much by what we do. So when you are retired, you take that away and you're left with your naked self and whatever interests you have or something that you're working towards. So how do you stay motivated to work towards something and to know what it is you want to work towards?
Yeah, that's really, so what I do as a retirement coach is that I focus on everything that's non-financial. So what are you doing socially? What are you doing physically, mentally? Just doing a crossword puzzle is not stimulating your brain, right?
How about Sudoku?
Well, that's
the same thing.
For some people that works.
Right.
But what are you doing? We do an exercise with people on their friends list, right? And how does that look? Are they your friends at work? Is it your work family? What's going to happen when you leave work? Normally what happens, I left corporate, you start with your work family up here, first month, and then everybody's going to talk to each other, and then everybody's going to talk to each other, and then before you know it, you hit the bottom.
Yes.
And there's only 2 or 3 people that you're really going to stay in touch with.
Yeah, that is interesting. You really know who your true friends are
Absolutely.
At the end of the day. And so you say non-financial, so that's more of the social aspect. And also to get outside of yourself, though, as well. So what about volunteerism and some other things that you can involve yourself in?
Yeah, that comes up as well.
Yeah.
As far as what are you going to do with all that time, right? Because now it sounds great that you go, I'm going to golf 5 times a week. No, you're not, right? Because your body.
I don't know, it depends on who you ask.
Some people might be able to do it, but physically, right?
Sure.
After time.
Yeah.
But what we talk about in the retirement space is that there's a honeymoon period of about 8 to 12 months. So I will tell people is come back and talk to me when you're bored. Because after 8 months or 12 months, you've done the honeydew list, you've done all these other things. Now it's, do you want to do something? There's some statistics out there that show that people who are over 55 plus are now getting into the franchise space.
Oh, yes.
To do something
To
that
do
we have,
something.
and use their skill set that is relatable to that.
So they can take an already existing business model and
Correct.
then just own it.
Absolutely.
I think that's great. I think that's a great thing. All right. For people who want more information, how to obtain your services, where do they go?
So right now, the best way to do is just to email me, bgrollertc@yahoo.com.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Cope Brett. It's good talking to you.
All right, thank you.
We're back after this.